Yo, what's up guys, it's Jake here, and today I'm going to be doing a very different video that I don't really see people do, and that's being a spin-off versus original series. You might see that I have set up kind of like a half and half of My Hero and My Hero Vigilantes. If you know this, and you probably do know this if you've watched my videos, I actually prefer Vigilantes over My Hero Academia. Of course, I'm not currently up to date where My Hero Academia currently is during their war arc, but I do very much enjoy Vigilantes to the point of me thinking it's better than My Hero Academia. I do very much believe that My Hero Vigilantes should get an anime sometime soon because the characters are very great. Now, I'm just going to bring it over back there so then you guys can kind of get a better view of what I've done over there so you can kind of see. And yeah, so let's just go over there. So the big difference between My Hero and Vigilantes is the settings and the characters that are inside them. Of course, Vigilantes has some of the same characters, like it does take All Might's inspiration, and also Aizawa is in it, and etc, etc. But the settings for both these stories are in completely different places. With My Hero Academia being more inside the school life and school areas, while Vigilantes being more in depth with the city and showing us what's around the city and not just the school. And that's something that I do like about Vigilantes. It shows a more in-depth, bigger kind of setting more often. And My Hero Academia doesn't really do that. Also, the characters in Vigilantes are somewhat, I feel, better. Because in My Hero Academia, they have a lot of busted quirks. They have a lot of really good quirks, like Bakugo with his glycerin sweat, like Todoroki with his half ice, half cold. Deku, of course, he's technically quirkless at the beginning, but then he gets the best quirk in existence, etc., etc. But Koichi, Pop Step, and Knucklecracker, I think his name is. I always forget his name. Okay, you guys know me. I'm bad with names. Okay, making sure. But Koichi's quirk is definitely terrible. It's not a good quirk. What he has is Sliding Glide, which Koichi states and says what it is when he has 3 limbs touching the floor, he can slide at speeds that are faster than humans, but the thing is, when he tries to go too fast and stop, then it's kind of hard to stop and he just keeps sliding. Of course, he figures this out pretty early on. He's thinking, oh, what if I just use my speed to go backwards at the same time so I stop way faster? And that's something that he learns from actually Ida's brother. And if you don't know, that this comes actually before My Hero Academia. So you learn a lot about the world before My Hero Academia and My Hero Vigilantes, which is another reason I think is way more interesting. You get to learn more about a world that isn't really explored in here. It's more explored in Vigilantes. And it's not really explained unless you read this. A lot of the stuff is not explained. And that's something I really do like. And the characters, like I said, Koichi's quirk isn't great. And it's just so interesting to see him try to save so many people with a terrible quirk. Now, I feel like they could have done this with My Hero Academia if they left Deku quirkless and it made him like a Batman kind of hero. And you might be saying, but that would just take away all the hype factor. Well, the thing about Deku is he knows a lot about every single hero, and every single quirk has its weaknesses. This is stated in the Forest training arc when they're training and then they find out that Todoroki can't use fire and ice at the same time or else he is in severe pain and can't move. Bakugo, if he shoots too much of too powerful explosions too much, he will literally dislocate his joints. Let me know, Uraraka, if she's floating too much weight, then she vomits. If Yuga Aoyama uses too much of his navel laser, his stomach hurts, etc., etc. You find this out pretty early on, which makes it way more interesting to see if he becomes like a Batman kind of hero and tries to detect the weaknesses of quirks, which would also kind of take away a hype factor and kind of put like a kind of a psychological twist on it, because you would have to figure out through mental games what their quirks' weaknesses are, which is something that I would really like to see in a shonen and something that's not really explored in a shonen battle shonen. So that's something I would really like to see. While in this, it's more like they are using their quirks in a way that's super unique, because the secondary character for this is Pop Step, and her quirk is basically super high jumps, and she uses this to make herself like one of those idols from like those idol shows. If you know what I'm talking about, kind of like Hatsune Miku, I think is how you say it. I'm really bad with Japanese names. If you know me, you know. So yeah, she's trying to become like that, and I love that. I think that their dynamic as a group for people with terrible quirks is amazing. Like Koichi, then you have Pop, then you have Knuckle Duster. I'm just gonna look. I swear, I'm just gonna be like annoyed at myself. So I'm just gonna look really fast. So I'll be right back. Okay, I was right. It was Knuckle Duster. I kind of thought it was, but I always know it just says Knuckle and that's it. So it's Knuckle Duster, and how he doesn't have a quirk. Now that's literally what Deku was like. Like Deku didn't have a quirk, and Knuckle Duster doesn't. But Knuckle Duster has such well-defined strength that he can rival people with quirks, which is something that's not really shown in My Hero Academia. The people who don't have quirks are usually shown to be weak, but Knuckle Duster is actually shown to beat up people that do have quirks, which is something that is really interesting to see in a world of superpowers, is seeing someone without powers still being able to stand tall to people that are very strong with powers. And they also deal with way more, like, interesting kind of villains, in my opinion. Of course, I think the League of Villains is really interesting. I'm talking about, like, the other villains, like Gentle, and, like, all, like, the side villains except the League of Villains, because I think the only really good villains inside My Hero are the League of Villains and Chisaki, but, like, everyone else is pretty okay at best. Like, I really hated Gentle as a villain. I really did. And I didn't like the Nomu that Endeavor fought. It felt, like, just so, like, random, but, of course, it was needed for the story. Stain, he was good, but I don't think he was, like, the best villain. I know he's set up for, like, the League of Villains to come in. He's set up a lot. But how the villains are shown in here is very interesting, because it's more like drug deals, and there's, like, a big drug going around in this world that's enhancing quirks, which is not really shown other than Chisaki's arc, which he has the drug to take away quirks. So it's very interesting to see when they're having a drug go around that isn't even spoken about in My Hero Academia, and this comes before it, the drug that's not even talked about, and it just enhances the quirks, like, tenfold, where someone will just be like the first episode villain where he just gets big and gets a little bit stronger. He will literally turn into, like, a ginormous rhinoceros or something. It's a really interesting kind of system that they do it with. And the villain that starts with all this, like, drugs starts with bees, which is very different. I would not expect it, but I do think that they do play it off way better, and they also show a lot of the side, like, the characters that don't get a lot of screen time inside Vigilantes, and give them more of a light and makes them more enjoyable to see, such as Midnight, Aizawa, Fat Gum, Tensei. Who else gets more screen time? Best Genius gets a good amount of screen time in the recent volume, in volume 7 and 6. He gets a pretty good amount of screen time. You get to meet a new hero called Captain Celebrity. He's a pretty cool character that you get to meet. But yeah, you get to meet all these kind of interesting and characters that you would never really see in My Hero Academia in Vigilantes. And I really do wish at one point that they do bring a Vigilantes character into My Hero Academia. Like, at one point they see Koichi or something saving someone, and they're like something about it, or like Tensei talks to Ida and he talks about Koichi, because Tensei and Koichi they talked quite a bit so far, so I wouldn't be surprised. And Tensei has helped Koichi learn about his quirk, because Koichi's quirk is kind of like Ida's when it comes to speed. But the thing that's different is that I think Tensei even admits that his quirk is Koichi's quirk is better than his, because Tensei has to limit himself to running, and he can't go side by side. Like, he can't go this way. He can't go straight sideways. While Koichi can go in any direction he wants and run on wall, and he can, like, glide onto walls. He can stick to things. He's kind of like a Spider-Man when it comes to that stuff. So that's something that I think is really interesting and can be taken from Tensei to tell Ida about something, and they don't. And I really do think that there's a lot of things in Vigilantes that could be brought over to My Hero Academia that aren't, and that would be a very interesting thing to see inside My Heroverse, because we see it in half the story that's in the beginning, but not in the other half that's later on in the timeline. We even get to meet a character who's hinted to be Stain. Like, this character right here, Stendhal, he is hinted to be Stain. Now, he's not confirmed because he hasn't shown much, but from what we have seen, it does look like he is the beginning of Stain, which is something that I wish that Vigilantes did go into more, which is one of my only critiques about this story, is that I wish My Hero Vigilantes went more into Stendhal, because right after you think he is, they go into a completely different arc. They go into the drug arc, which is something that I did not like at first, but I do like it now, seeing that the villains are pretty interesting, and I do like it. And also, how Volume 7 left off was a huge cliffhanger, and it left me in so much, like, I want to read more. Like, that's, each volume leaves off at a point where I want to read more, which it can't always be said for My Hero Academia. Yes, I do like the series. Yes, I do think it's a good series, but I don't think it leaves me like I want to read more at every single volume, while Vigilantes definitely does. Vigilantes is a story that is very enticing to read, because you always know that no matter what, the protagonist is an underdog, and he's using his mental strength, like he's using his mental capacity to think about these strategies to beat these people with a terrible quirk, which is something that you never really see in My Hero Academia. Yes, you see them create strategies with all the good quirks they do have, but you don't really see multiple strategies with very bad quirks in it. Because you never really see, like, Sero, I'm not even going to say Kaminari, like, Sero, Mineta, and, like, I don't know, like, Mina create a strategy that makes them really good. Of course, if you've read the My Hero manga, you know Mineta does have a kind of a moment, and right where Season 5 is going to pick up, he does kind of have a moment that shows his quirk isn't basically useless, but still, I definitely do think Vigilantes is just a little better than My Hero Academia, but that's my opinion. Now, everyone has their opinions, and I just want to say this because I really want to bring light to Vigilantes, because I don't see many people reading it, and I definitely do think it's on par or better with My Hero Academia, and it's just not shown because it doesn't have an anime, and it's not as hyped up as My Hero Academia because the anime blew it up. So I definitely wanted to bring light to this conversation. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'm just going to bring it to the outro now. So that was it for this video. If you did like it, please like and subscribe. It really does mean a lot for the growth of this channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope I see you guys next time. This is a different kind of video. I might make another one sooner or later. I just don't know what other spin-offs and originals you guys would like me to read or watch to make a video like this again. So if you really do have any spin-off originals that are pretty close inside of which one is better, please leave them down in the comments, and I might actually do this video again with a part 2 with that series as well. I would just have to read it and watch it, of course. But yes, I would love to do this again. I did really enjoy making this video, so I hope you guys did like this. And if you did, please like and subscribe again. And I hope I see you guys next time. Peace!